Nia's finger was hovering over the cancel button for her last Uber pickup when she saw something that made her blood run cold. A tall man emerging from the shadows of an abandoned Detroit warehouse, clutching a screaming baby to his chest, his expensive white shirt soaked black with blood in the rain. And before her brain could process the danger, before she could think about rent or tuition or survival, she threw open the car door because that baby's cries changed everything. The stranger collapsed into her back seat, barely breathing, so devastatingly handsome despite the bullet wound tearing through his side, that Nia's hands shook as she grabbed his daughter and started driving. And when he rasped, "No hospitals!" with a commanding voice that made her obey, despite her nursing training screaming to call 911, she knew she'd just entered a world she didn't understand. What this struggling student from Rwanda doesn't know, as armed guards open mansion gates for her blood-stained car, as a private doctor treats the man without asking questions, as the stranger introduces himself as Quan Min and looks at her like she's a miracle while offering her money to care for his baby, is that she just saved Detroit's most powerful Korean crime boss from an assassination attempt. And the attraction building between them every time their eyes meet, every time his touch makes her skin burn, every time they're alone with tension crackling like electricity, will lead to the most dangerous love affair of her life, where his enemies will stage photos to break them apart. His brother will try to kill him again to steal his empire, and she'll have to choose between running back to her safe, normal existence or staying to fight for a man whose criminal past terrifies her, but whose love for his daughter and growing obsession with her makes her believe he's worth dying for. The rain hammered against Nia's windshield like angry fists as she squinted at her phone's GPS. Thursday nights in Detroit were usually quiet, but something about this pickup felt wrong from the start. The address led her to an abandoned warehouse district where streetlights flickered like dying fireflies. Her heart pounded as she turned into the empty parking lot, her headlights cutting through sheets of rain. "Girl, you better turn around," she whispered to herself, finger hovering over the cancel button. But rent was due in 3 days, and she needed every dollar for nursing school tuition. Just one more ride, she'd promised herself 5 rides ago. Then she saw him. A tall man stumbled from the shadows, clutching something against his chest. Nia's breath caught. He was holding a baby. The tiny bundle wailed into the stormy night, and even through the rain, she could see dark stains spreading across the man's white shirt. Blood. So much blood. Their eyes met through the windshield. His were dark and desperate, filled with a fear that cut straight through her own panic. He mouthed a single word. "Please." Every survival instinct screamed at her to drive away, but that crying baby changed everything. Nia threw open the passenger door. The man collapsed into her back seat, barely conscious. Up close, she could see how handsome he was, despite the pain twisting his features. Sharp jawline, full lips, black hair plastered to his forehead. But it was the baby that held her attention. The little girl couldn't have been more than 8 months old, wearing pink pajamas and screaming like her world was ending. "Hospital," Nia said, reaching for her phone. "I'm calling 911. "No." His voice was rough, but commanding, even weak as he was. "No hospitals, no police." He rattled off an address in a neighborhood she'd heard about but never entered. The kind of place where people minded their business if they wanted to keep breathing. "Please, my daughter. Save my daughter. You're bleeding everywhere. You need real help." "I have help there. Just drive. Please." His eyes rolled back, and for a terrifying moment, Nia thought he'd died. But his chest still rose and fell, and the baby's cries grew more frantic. Nia grabbed the infant, awkwardly cradling her while she drove. The little girl's face was red from crying, tiny fists waving in distress. "Shh, shh," "It's okay, sweet baby. We're going to help your daddy." The baby's cries softened at the sound of her voice, and something in Naya's chest squeezed tight. She glanced in the rearview mirror at the unconscious man. What had she gotten herself into? The address led to a mansion hidden behind tall iron gates. Nia stopped at the intercom, unsure what to say, when the gate simply swung open. Someone had been watching. Her hands shook as she drove up the long driveway, rain still pouring down like the sky was weeping. Before she could even park, the front doors burst open. A small Asian man in glasses rushed out with an umbrella, followed by two large men in dark suits. They moved with military precision, pulling the wounded man from her car, while the doctor barked orders in a language she didn't understand. "The baby!" the doctor shouted at her in English. "Bring her inside." Naya followed them into a house that looked like something from a movie. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, artwork that probably cost more than her entire apartment building. They carried the man to a back room that had clearly been prepared for emergencies like this. Medical equipment lined the walls, and the doctor immediately began cutting away the bloody shirt. "Gunshot wound, through and through," the doctor muttered. "He's lucky. Missed all the important parts." Lucky? Naya held the baby tighter, watching as they worked to save the man's life. The little girl had stopped crying, now just whimpering softly against Nia's shoulder. She smelled like baby powder and something sweet. "What's her name?" Naya whispered, rocking gently. "Yoon," one of the suited men answered. "The boss's daughter." "Boss?" Naya's stomach dropped. What kind of boss got shot and couldn't go to a hospital? It took nearly 2 hours before the doctor finished. The man, this boss, lay unconscious on the medical bed, bandaged and hooked up to an IV. His face looked peaceful now, and Nia found herself staring. He was probably her age, maybe a bit older, too young to have this much danger in his life. "You can go," the doctor said, not unkindly. "We'll take the baby." But when he reached for Yoon, the little girl started crying again, clutching Naya's shirt with surprising strength. Something about that grip made Naya hold on tighter too. "Let her stay." The voice was weak, but clear. The man had opened his eyes, and he was looking directly at Nia. "The baby likes her." "Sir, you need rest," the doctor protested. "I need to talk to her. Alone." Everyone filed out reluctantly, leaving Nia standing there with a baby in her arms and a dangerous stranger watching her with eyes that seemed to see straight into her soul. "You stayed," he said softly, "even after seeing the blood, even after knowing you should run. The baby needed help." "Just the baby?" A ghost of a smile crossed his lips, despite the pain he must have been feeling. Naya's cheeks warmed. "I'm not in the habit of letting people bleed to death in my car, regardless of who they are." He laughed, then winced. "Practical and brave. What's your name?" "Nia." "Nia." He said it like he was tasting something precious. "I'm Quan Min, and you've already met my daughter, Yoon. What happened to you?" His expression darkened. "Business disagreement. It won't happen again." "Business that involves guns?" "The kind of business you should forget about the moment you leave here." He gestured to the nightstand. "Top drawer. Take what's inside." Naya shifted Yoon to one arm and opened the drawer. Her jaw dropped. Stacks of $100 bills filled it, more money than she'd seen in her entire life. "I can't take this." "You saved my daughter's life, my life. That's just the beginning of what I owe you." "I didn't do it for money." Naya closed the drawer firmly. "I did it because it was the right thing to do." Quan Min stared at her like she'd spoken a foreign language. His eyes, dark and intense, studied her face with an expression she couldn't read. Finally, he spoke. "You're either very naive or very different from everyone I know. Maybe both." Nia bounced Yoon gently. The baby had fallen asleep against her shoulder, tiny fingers still gripping her shirt. She's beautiful. Looks just like you. Her mother's genes, too. Not that she's around to see it. The bitterness in his voice made Naya's heart ache. A single father, shot and bleeding, protecting his baby even while dying. Whatever else he was, he loved his daughter. That much was clear. "You should rest," Naya said, moving toward the door. "Let me put her in her crib." "Wait." Quan Min's voice stopped her. "Your phone number, in case of emergency." "What kind of emergency?" "The kind where I need someone who actually gives a damn about my daughter." His eyes held hers. "Please." Naya should have said no, should have walked out that door and never looked back. But something in his gaze, something vulnerable beneath all that danger, made her hesitate. And baby Yoon, sleeping so peacefully in her arms, felt too right to question. She gave him her number. As she finally left that mansion, rain still falling but gentler now, Nia couldn't shake the feeling that her life had just changed forever. She didn't know that the man lying in that bed controlled half of Detroit's underground. Didn't know that his enemies would soon become hers. Didn't know that the baby sleeping against her shoulder would change everything she thought she knew about love and family. All she knew was that Quan Min's eyes had looked at her like she was something precious. And despite every logical reason to forget this night ever happened, Nia found herself hoping her phone would ring. 3 days later, it did. Nia was studying anatomy notes at her kitchen table when the knock came, loud, confident, impossible to ignore. She glanced at Grace, her roommate, who was painting her nails on the couch. "You expecting someone?" Grace asked, blowing on her fingers. "No." But Naya's heart already knew. She'd been waiting for this moment since that rainy night, even though she'd told herself she wouldn't. She opened the door, and there he stood. Quan Min looked completely different from the bleeding, desperate man she'd saved. Now he wore an expensive black suit that hugged his broad shoulders perfectly, his dark hair styled back, revealing his full handsome face. And in his arms, baby Yoon smiled and reached for Nia the moment she saw her. "Hello, Nia." His voice was smooth, confident, nothing like the pained whispers from that night. "May I come in?" Grace appeared behind Nia, eyes wide. "Girl, who is this fine man with a baby?" "It's complicated. I can see that." Grace looked between them, clearly confused, but intrigued. Nia stepped aside, and Quan Min entered her small apartment. She felt embarrassed suddenly, seeing him in her space. His watch probably cost more than her entire living room furniture combined. But he didn't seem to notice or care about the worn couch or the second-hand coffee table. He only had eyes for her. "Your wound," Nia said, focusing on something safe. "You should still be resting. I heal fast, and I had to see you." He shifted Yoon in his arms. "My regular nanny quit yesterday. Family emergency back in Korea. Finding good childcare takes time, and I have important business this week that I can't miss." "So you came to me?" Nia crossed her arms, suspicious. "We don't even know each other." "Yoon knows you. Look at her." The baby was practically launching herself out of his arms toward Nia, making happy babbling sounds. Despite herself, Nia smiled and took the child. Yoon immediately cuddled against her, content. "See?" Quan Min's eyes softened, watching them. She hasn't been this happy since her mother left. That word again. Mother. Past tense. Left, not died. Nia wondered about the story there, but didn't ask. "I still don't understand what you want from me." 2 weeks. "Watch Yoon for 2 weeks while I find permanent help. I'll pay you $10,000. Grace choked on air behind them. Nia's head spun. "That's ridiculous. That's what peace of mind costs me. knowing my daughter is with someone who actually cares about her welfare. He pulled out a business card, setting it on her kitchen counter. Think about it. Call me. After he left, Grace practically tackled Nia. Who is that man? And why are you not already saying yes to $10,000? Because there's something dangerous about him, Grace. You didn't see him that night. The blood. The secrecy. Dangerous can be exciting. Grace waggled her eyebrows. And did you see the way he looked at you? Girl, that man is interested in more than just childcare. Don't be ridiculous. But that night, lying in bed, Nia couldn't stop thinking about those dark eyes, the way Quan Min had watched her hold his daughter, the way her skin had tingled when their hands accidentally touched during the transfer. She called him the next morning. The 2 weeks started simply enough. Quan Min's mansion had a nursery that belonged in a magazine. Every toy, every comfort, everything a baby could need. Nia spent her days playing with Yoon, feeding her, singing Rwandan lullabies her own mother had taught her. The baby thrived under her care, smiling and laughing and learning new sounds every day. But the nights were different. Quan Min came home each evening around 7. He'd shower, change into comfortable clothes, and join them for Yoon's bedtime routine. Those moments felt dangerously domestic, too perfect, too right. Tell me about Rwanda, he said one night after they'd put Yoon down. They sat in his living room, glasses of wine between them, the city lights of Detroit twinkling through floor-to-ceiling windows. What do you want to know? Everything. Your childhood, your family. What made you come here? So she told him. About growing up in Kigali, her mother's strength, her father's wisdom. About wanting to be a nurse after watching her grandmother die from treatable illness. About saving every dollar to come to America for school, for opportunity, for a future. You're brave, Quan Min said softly, leaving everything you know to chase a dream. Aren't you? You're Korean, but you built your life here. His jaw tightened. I didn't have much choice. My father sent me here when I was 15. Said I needed to learn the American business. He died before I could go back. I'm sorry. Don't be. He was a hard man. But he taught me to survive. Quan Min's eyes found hers. Survival is lonely, though. Until now. The air between them shifted, charged with something electric. Nia's breath caught as he moved closer, his hand reaching up to tuck at loose curl behind her ear. His fingers lingered on her cheek, warm and gentle. I shouldn't want you, he whispered. My life is complicated, dangerous. Then stop. But even as she said it, Nia leaned into his touch. I can't. And then he was kissing her. It started soft, questioning, giving her room to pull away. But Nia didn't want to pull away. She wanted more. Her hand slid up his chest, feeling hard muscle beneath the thin fabric of his shirt. He groaned against her mouth, deepening the kiss, and she felt herself melting. Quan Min pulled back, breathing hard, his eyes searching hers. Tell me to stop. Tell me this is wrong. It probably is, Nia admitted. But I don't want you to stop. Something fierce and hungry flashed in his gaze. He stood, pulling her up with him, and led her to his bedroom. The space was masculine and clean, dominated by a massive bed that suddenly seemed very significant. Are you sure? He asked, giving her one last chance to change her mind. Nia answered by kissing him again. What followed was tender and passionate all at once. Quan Min touched her like she was precious, taking his time, learning what made her gasp and arch into him. When he finally made her his, Nia felt something shift in her soul. This wasn't just physical. This was connection, raw and real and terrifying. Afterward, they lay tangled together, his fingers tracing patterns on her back while she rested her head on his chest. I haven't felt alive in years, Quan Min confessed into the darkness. Not since Yoon was born, maybe not even then. But with you, I feel like I can finally breathe. Naya tilted her head up to look at him. What exactly do you do, Quan Min? What's this business that put a bullet in you? He was quiet for a long moment. I manage investments and properties for people who prefer to stay private. Sometimes those people have disagreements. Sometimes those disagreements get violent. It wasn't a full answer, but it was more than she'd had before. Naya decided not to push, not tonight, when everything felt perfect and possible. Stay, he whispered. Don't go home tonight. So she stayed, wrapped in his arms, listening to his heartbeat, and wondering how a random Uber pickup had led her here. To this dangerous, complicated, beautiful man who looked at her like she hung the moon. The 2 weeks passed too quickly. Each day with Yoon, each night with Quan Min, Nia fell deeper. He was nothing like she'd expected. Yes, he was powerful, and sometimes cold with his business associates. But with his daughter, he was gentle. And with Nia, he was vulnerable in ways she suspected few people ever saw. On the last official day, Quan Min made his offer. Don't leave. Be Yoon's permanent nanny. Be with me. You're asking me to move into your world completely. I'm asking you to give us a real chance. I know it's fast. I know it's complicated. But I can't lose you now that I've found you. Naya thought about her nursing school schedule, her tiny apartment, her normal life. Then she looked at Yoon, playing happily on the floor, and at Quan Min, watching her with hope and hunger in his eyes. Okay, she whispered. I'll stay. His smile could have lit up the whole city. He pulled her close, kissing her deeply, and Naya felt herself falling into something she couldn't name but desperately wanted. That night, their lovemaking was different. More intense, more desperate, like they were claiming each other completely. He worshipped her body with his hands and mouth, learning every curve, every sensitive spot. And when they finally came together, moving as one, Naya knew she was ruined for anyone else. This was it. This dangerous, impossible love. And she was all in. 3 months into their relationship, Naya had settled into a routine that felt surreal. Mornings with Yoon, afternoons studying for nursing school while the baby napped, evenings with Quan Min. Her life had transformed from struggling student to something out of a dream. Except dreams didn't come with armed guards at the gates and mysterious phone calls that made her boyfriend's face go cold. Who was that? Naya asked one Thursday evening as Quan Min ended yet another tense call. Business, his standard answer. He crossed the living room to where she sat with her textbooks and kissed her forehead. How's studying? Don't change the subject. Quan Min sighed, running a hand through his hair. It's complicated, Nia. Some things are better left unknown. I'm living in your house, raising your daughter, sharing your bed every night. But you won't trust me with the truth. He knelt in front of her, taking her hands. It's not about trust. It's about keeping you safe. The less you know, the better. But Naya was tired of shadows. That weekend, while Quan Min was in Philadelphia for business, she did something she probably shouldn't have. She searched his name online. The results made her stomach drop. Korean organized crime, underground gambling operations, suspected connection to international smuggling. Nothing proven, everything alleged, but the pattern was clear. Quan Min wasn't just a businessman in the gray areas. He was deep into something dark. Her phone buzzed with a text. Miss me yet? Quan Min's message included a photo of him in his hotel room, shirtless, clearly fresh from the shower. Despite her worry, heat flooded through her. Always, she texted back, because that was the confusing truth. Even knowing what she now knew, even understanding the danger, she missed him desperately. His touch, his laugh, the way he looked at her like she was his entire world. When he returned Sunday night, Naya was waiting. He barely made it through the door before she was kissing him, hungry and needy. Whatever else he was hers. And she needed to feel that connection, to remember why she'd chosen this complicated life. They made love right there in the entryway, passionate and urgent. Afterward, tangled on the living room couch, Quan Min held her close. "I know you searched for information about me," he said quietly. Nia stiffened. "How?" "I have security on our internet. I'm not angry." He tilted her chin up. "But now you know. Now you understand why I try to protect you from this. Tell me the truth. Your truth, not what the internet says." So he did. Sitting there in the darkness, Quan Min finally opened up. About inheriting his father's organization, about the impossible choice between honor and morality, about trying to transition things toward legitimate business while still maintaining power and protecting his people. "I'm not a good man, Naya. I've done things I'm not proud of, hurt people who threatened what's mine. But I'm trying to build something better for Yoon's future. For our future." "Our future?" Her heart jumped. "You think I'd let you go now?" His hand cupped her face. "You're mine, completely, and I protect what's mine." The possessiveness should have scared her. Instead, it sent shivers down her spine. Naya kissed him deeply, pouring every complicated feeling into it. This was her choice. This dangerous, beautiful man and his complicated world. But complications were just beginning. The next week, Nia was grocery shopping with Yoon when a man approached her in the parking lot. Young, good-looking, with eyes that reminded her of Quan Min's. But his smile held none of Quan Min's warmth. "You must be the nanny everyone's talking about," he said in accented English. "I'm Seo Jun, Quan Min's brother. He's never mentioned you. We're not close." Seo Jun's eyes traveled over her, assessing. "You're prettier than I expected. I can see why my brother is so distracted lately." Something about his tone made Nia's skin crawl. She moved to put Yoon's stroller between them. "I should go." "Wait." He touched her arm, and she jerked away. "Just a friendly warning. My brother has a pattern. Gets obsessed with a woman, makes promises, then moves on when reality sets in. You're not the first. Won't be the last. You don't know what you're talking about. Don't I? Ask him about Rachel. Ask him about Yoon's mother. She couldn't handle this life either. Left the baby and ran. You'll do the same eventually." He leaned closer. "Save yourself the heartbreak. Leave now while you still can." Naya drove home shaking, Seo Jun's words echoing in her head. That night, after putting Yoon to bed, she confronted Quan Min. "Tell me about Rachel." His whole body tensed. "Who told you that name?" "Your brother stopped me today. Warned me about you. Said I'm just another girl who'll leave like Yoon's mother did." Quan Min's expression went dark and dangerous. "Seo Jun approached you? Threatened you?" "He didn't threaten. He warned. Is he right? Am I just another distraction?" "No." Quan Min grabbed her shoulders, his intensity almost frightening. "Rachel was a mistake. She got pregnant accidentally. I tried to make it work, tried to build something real, but she couldn't handle my life. So she left, abandoned her own baby. You are nothing like her." "Then why won't you tell me about her? Why all the secrets?" "Because the past doesn't matter. What matters is us. Now. Here." His hands gentled on her shoulders. "Don't let Seo Jun poison what we have. He's jealous, always has been. Wants what I have." But doubt had taken root. That night, even when Quan Min made love to her with desperate intensity, even when he whispered how much he needed her, Naya couldn't shake the feeling that she was missing important pieces of the puzzle. Things got worse when Grace visited the following week. They sat in the mansion's kitchen, while Yoon played nearby, and Grace didn't hold back. "Girl, are you serious about this? You've basically given up your whole life for a man you've known less than 4 months. What happens when he gets tired of you?" "He won't." "That's what they all say." Grace softened, taking her hand. "I love you, Nia. I just don't want to see you hurt. This isn't a normal relationship. He's not a normal man." "I know what he is." "Do you? Really? Because from where I'm sitting, you're playing house with a criminal. What happens when that world crashes in? What happens to you?" Nia wanted to argue, but she couldn't. Because Grace was right. She jumped into this relationship with both feet, ignoring all the red flags because the feeling was so intense. But intensity wasn't the same as security. Passion wasn't the same as safety. That night, she told Quan Min she needed space to think. His face went carefully blank. "Space," he repeated. "You mean you want to leave?" "I mean I need time to figure out if I'm making a huge mistake." "You're not." He moved toward her, but she stepped back. Pain flashed in his eyes. "Nia, don't do this. Don't let other people's opinions destroy what we have. Maybe they're right, though. Maybe I've been so caught up in how you make me feel that I haven't thought about reality. Your world is dangerous, violent. What kind of life is that for me? For Yoon? A protected one, a provided for one." His voice turned cold. "You think going back to your tiny apartment and struggling through nursing school is better? You think finding some safe, boring man is going to make you happy? That's not fair. Life isn't fair." He was angry now, truly angry. "I gave you everything. My home, my daughter, my heart. And you're throwing it away because people who don't know us, who don't understand us, told you to be scared." "I am scared. You got shot, Quan Min. Someone tried to kill you. What's to stop them from trying again? What's to stop them from hurting Yoon or me? I would die before I let anyone hurt you. That's exactly what I'm afraid of." The fight escalated from there, both of them saying things they didn't mean, or maybe things they did mean, but wished they didn't. By the end, Nia was crying, and Quan Min was staring out the window with rigid shoulders. "If you want to leave, leave." He said finally, his voice empty. "I won't stop you, but don't expect me to beg. I did that with Rachel, and all it got me was a broken heart and a baby she didn't want. Don't compare me to her. Then don't act like her." He turned, and the pain in his eyes cut through her. "I love you, Nia. I've never said that to anyone except Yoon. But if you can't handle my life, if you can't trust that I'll protect you, then maybe Seo Jun was right. Maybe you should leave before we both get hurt worse." Nia packed a bag that night, her heart breaking with every item she folded. Yoon cried when she tried to say goodbye, little arms reaching for her, and Nia had to leave quickly before she changed her mind. Back at her old apartment, Grace hugged her while she sobbed. But even as she cried, even as she told herself this was the right choice, Nia couldn't shake the feeling that she'd just made the biggest mistake of her life. 3 days passed. Miserable, empty days where she couldn't eat or focus on studying. Every time her phone buzzed, she hoped it was Quan Min. But he'd meant what he said. He wouldn't beg. On the 4th day, a message came. But it wasn't from Quan Min. It was from a number she didn't recognize, with a photo attachment. Nia opened it and felt her world shatter. The photo showed Quan Min and a beautiful woman in what looked like his bedroom. They were close, intimate. The woman was gorgeous, sophisticated, everything Nia wasn't. The message below read, "He never really left me. Thanks for keeping the bed warm. Rachel." Nia stared at the photo until her vision blurred. Rachel. The ex. The mother who'd abandoned Yoon. The woman Quan Min swore meant nothing. But here she was, in his bedroom, looking very much like she belonged there. Grace found her on the bathroom floor an hour later, still clutching the phone. What happened? Nia just showed her the message. Grace's expression went from concerned to furious. That man. I knew he was too good to be true. I knew it. He said I was different. He said he loved me. They all say that, honey. Come on, let's get you up. But Nia couldn't move. Her heart felt physically broken, like something inside her chest had actually torn apart. She'd left to protect herself, to think clearly, and apparently Quan Min had wasted no time moving on. Or maybe he'd never moved on in the first place. Maybe she'd been the fool all along. She blocked his number, deleted his contact, threw herself into nursing school with desperate focus. If she stayed busy enough, maybe she wouldn't think about him. Maybe she wouldn't remember how his hands felt on her skin, or how he whispered her name when they made love, or how Yoon's laughter had filled empty spaces in her soul she hadn't known existed. 2 weeks crawled by. Nia lost weight, stopped sleeping properly. Grace worried, but didn't know how to help. How do you fix a broken heart when the person who broke it was the only one who could mend it? Then Grace came home from work with news that made Nia's blood run cold. I heard something today. There's talk on the street about a power shift in the Korean organization. Something about internal fighting. Nia, I think something bad is happening. Not my problem anymore. What if Quan Min's in trouble? Then he can call Rachel to save him. The bitterness in her voice surprised even herself. But that night, Nia couldn't stop thinking about it. What if he was hurt? What if Yoon was in danger? She told herself she didn't care. Told herself he'd made his choice when he went back to his ex. But her heart wouldn't listen to logic. At 2 a.m, her blocked number tried calling, again and again. Then a text came from an unknown number. It's Mr. Park, the doctor who treated the boss. You need to come. He's been shot again. It's bad. He's asking for you. Nia's hands shook. This could be a trap. Could be anything. But the message included an address, the same mansion where everything had started. I have to go, she told Grace. Are you crazy? After what he did? What if it's real? What if he's dying? Then that's his karma, not your responsibility. But Nia was already grabbing her keys. Some choices weren't really choices at all. The mansion looked different at night. Dark windows, no guards visible at the gate. The gate stood open, which immediately felt wrong. Nia drove up the long driveway, her heart pounding so hard she felt sick. Mr. Park met her at the door, looking exhausted and scared. Thank God. He won't let me treat him properly. Keeps asking for you and the baby. Where's Yoon? Nursery, crying. The staff doesn't know how to calm her. Nia followed him through the too quiet house. Everything felt off. Where was everyone? Where were all the people who usually surrounded Quan Min? They found him in the same medical room as before. But this time was worse. So much worse. Blood soaked through bandages on his chest and shoulder. His face was pale, lips almost blue. When his eyes found her, they were unfocused. Nia. His voice was barely a whisper. You came. Don't talk. She moved to his side, her medical training kicking in. What happened? Seo Jun, he managed. Betrayed me. Tried to take over. There was a meeting. He brought guns. Quan Min coughed, and blood flecked his lips. Rachel helped him. It was all a plan. Nia's world tilted. What? The photo. They drugged me. Staged it. Wanted to drive you away. Weaken me. His hand found hers, cold and shaking. I never touched her. I swear. Never wanted anyone but you. Save your strength. Mr. Park, why isn't he in surgery? He refused to go to our usual location. Said it might be compromised. Said to wait for you. The doctor looked helpless. I've done what I can here, but he needs a proper facility. Then take him. What are you waiting for? Your permission, Quan Min rasped. You're the only one I trust, If I go under for surgery, I need to know you'll protect Yoon. Need to know you'll be here when I wake up." Tears burned Nia's eyes. All this time, she'd been angry at him for something he didn't do. All this time, he'd been betrayed by his own family, while she'd been safe in her apartment, hating him. "I'll stay. I promise. Now go. Let them save you." His grip tightened on her hand. "Love you. Always loved you. Only you. I love you too. So you better not die on me." They wheeled him away, and Nia stood in that medical room, covered in his blood, shaking. From down the hall, she heard Yoon crying. The baby needed her. Quan Min needed her. And she'd almost let pride and doubt keep her away. The nursery was exactly as she remembered. Yoon stood in her crib, face red and wet with tears. The moment she saw Nia, she reached out, sobbing her name. Well, her version of it. "Nana! Nana! I'm here, baby girl, I'm here!" Nia scooped her up, and Yoon clung to her like a lifeline. "Shh, it's okay. Daddy's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine." But she didn't know if that was true. Didn't know if Quan Min would survive this. Didn't know what Seo Jun and Rachel had planned next. All she knew was that she was exactly where she needed to be, holding this precious child, waiting for the man she loved to come back to her. The surgery took 6 hours. 6 hours of Nia pacing, praying, holding a sleeping Yoon, and imagining the worst. Mr. Park finally emerged, looking exhausted, but relieved. "He'll live. It was close, but he's strong, stubborn." Nia started crying, all the fear and relief pouring out at once. "Can I see him?" "He's still unconscious. Will be for a while. But yes, come." Quan Min looked so vulnerable lying there. All his power, his danger, stripped away to reveal just a man. A man who'd been betrayed by his brother. A man who'd almost died, protecting what was his. A man who'd never stopped loving her, even when she'd walked away. Nia pulled a chair close and took his hand. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry I didn't trust you. I'm sorry I left. But I'm here now, and I'm not leaving again. You hear me? So you wake up and fight, because we have a life to build together." She stayed there all night, holding his hand, watching him breathe. At some point, she fell asleep in the chair. When she woke, dawn light was filtering through the windows, and Quan Min's eyes were open, watching her. "You stayed," he said, voice rough but stronger. "Always. I'll always stay." He tried to sit up, wincing. Nia helped him, adjusting pillows. When he was settled, he pulled her close as his injuries allowed, and kissed her. It was soft and desperate, and full of everything they'd almost lost. "I need to tell you everything," he said. "No more secrets. You deserve the truth." So he did. About how Seo Jun had always been jealous, always wanted the power their father had given Quan Min. About how Rachel had reached out weeks ago, claiming she wanted to see Yoon. About how they'd formed an alliance, planning to make Quan Min look weak and distracted so the organization would accept new leadership. The photo was taken when they drugged my drink at a business dinner. I woke up in that room with her, with cameras everywhere. But nothing happened, Nia. I swear on Yoon's life. Nothing happened. I believe you. I should have trusted you from the start. You were protecting yourself, I understand that. His hand cupped her cheek. But I need you to understand something. My world is dangerous. It probably always will be, even as I try to make it safer. If you're with me, there will be threats. There will be people who try to hurt me through you. I know. And you're still willing to stay? Nia kissed him, pouring all her love and certainty into it. I'm not just willing. I'm choosing it. Choosing you. Choosing us. Whatever comes, we face it together. Something fierce and possessive flashed in his eyes. His good arm wrapped around her waist, pulling her onto the bed beside him, despite her protests about his injuries. "Mine," he whispered against her lips. "You're mine, Nia. Forever." "Forever," she agreed, and sealed it with a kiss that promised exactly that. Want to see how Nia and Quan Min handle what comes next? Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss when we drop the next chapter. And tell us in the comments where you're watching from. We love hearing from you. Recovery was slow. Quan Min pushed himself too hard, typical of his stubborn nature, and Nia had to force him to rest. They'd moved into a guest room together since he couldn't climb stairs yet, and Nia brought Yoon's crib in with them. The three of them, a makeshift family, healing together. "You're a terrible patient," Nia scolded one morning, finding him trying to check emails on his phone. "And you're a bossy nurse." "Not a nurse yet, still a student. But I'm practicing on you." She took his phone away, ignoring his glare. "Mr. Park said rest means rest, not running your empire from bed. My empire is currently in chaos, thanks to my brother." That was the hard truth. Seo-jun had disappeared after the attack, along with Rachel, but he'd done damage before leaving. Spread rumors about Quan Min being weak, distracted by a woman. Some of the organization's members were questioning his leadership. "Let them question," Nia said firmly. "You nearly died. You're allowed to recover. In my world, showing weakness is suicide. Then change your world." She sat on the edge of the bed, taking his hand. "You're always talking about building something better for Yoon's future. Maybe that starts with showing your people that strength isn't about never getting hurt. It's about getting back up after you fall." Quan Min studied her face like he was seeing her for the first time. "How did I get so lucky? You got shot and I happened to be your Uber driver. Not sure that's luck. Best bullet wound I ever took." He pulled her down for a kiss that quickly heated up. His hands started wandering despite his injuries, and Nia had to gently push him back. "You're not cleared for that kind of activity yet. I'm cleared for kissing. Just kissing." But she smiled against his lips, letting herself enjoy this moment of peace before the storm she knew was coming. That storm arrived a week later in the form of Mr. Park, visiting with serious news. Several high-ranking members wanted a meeting. They wanted answers about the Seo-jun situation and assurances about Quan Min's ability to lead. "It's a power play," Mr. Park said quietly. "They want to see if you're still strong enough to hold your position. Then we give them a show." Quan Min's voice had that dangerous edge Nia recognized. The crime boss, not the injured man. "You can barely walk upstairs without help," Nia protested. "I'll manage. Some things can't be delegated." He looked at Mr. Park. "Set up the meeting for tomorrow night. Neutral location. And tell them I'm bringing someone." After Mr. Park left, Nia crossed her arms. "You're bringing me, aren't you?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because they need to see that you're not a weakness. You're my strength." He stood carefully, crossing to where she stood. "I need them to understand that you and Yoon are my family. That anyone who threatens my family will face consequences. You're using me to send a message. I'm showing them the truth, that I'm stronger with you than I ever was alone." His hands framed her face. "But only if you're comfortable. I won't force you into that world." Nia thought about it. This was a test, not just for Quan Min but for her. Could she really be the partner he needed? Could she stand beside him in his dangerous world without falling apart? "What do I wear to a meeting with Korean organized crime?" she finally asked. His smile was proud and possessive all at once. "Something that shows them you're not afraid." The next evening, Nia dressed in a simple black dress that Grace had helped her pick out during a quick shopping trip. Elegant but not flashy. Strong but feminine. She left her curls natural, refusing to try to be something she wasn't. Quan Min wore a perfectly tailored suit despite his healing wounds. He looked every inch the powerful boss, and when his eyes traveled over Nia, they burned with appreciation and something deeper. "Perfect," he said. "Absolutely perfect." The meeting was held in a private room at an upscale restaurant. 10 men sat around a long table, all older than Quan Min, all watching with calculating eyes as he entered with Nia on his arm. She felt their judgment, their curiosity, their doubt, but she kept her head high, remembering that she was here because Quan Min believed in her. "Gentlemen," Quan Min said, his voice commanding despite his recent injuries. "Thank you for your patience during my recovery. I know there have been concerns about recent events." "Your brother nearly destroyed you," one man said bluntly. "And from what we hear, it was because you were distracted by a woman." "My brother betrayed me because he's always been jealous and weak. The woman had nothing to do with it." Quan Min's hand tightened on Nia's. "But since you brought it up, let me be clear. This is Nia. She's not a distraction. She's my partner, the mother figure to my daughter, and eventually my wife." Nia's heart stopped. Wife? They'd never discussed marriage. "You're making decisions with your heart, not your head," another man argued. "That's dangerous for all of us." "I'm making decisions that honor both. My father built this organization on loyalty and family. Nia is my family now, just as each of you considers your wives and children family. Or do you consider them weaknesses too?" That silenced several of them. Quan Min continued, his voice steady and sure. "Seo Jun made his play. He failed. He's gone. And anyone who thinks about following his path will meet the same fate. I've been leading this organization for 5 years. In that time, we've expanded our legitimate holdings, reduced our legal exposure, and increased profits by 40%. My personal life doesn't change my ability to lead. It enhances it. Because now, I have even more reason to build something sustainable. Something that lasts." He looked around the table, meeting each man's eyes. "So here's what's going to happen. You're going to accept that I'm still your leader. You're going to accept that Nia is under my protection, which means she's under all of our protection. And we're going to move forward, stronger than before. Any questions?" The silence was heavy. Then Mr. Park, who'd been quiet until now, spoke up. "I've known Quan Min since he was a boy. I watched his father train him. And I'm telling you all that he's twice the leader his father ever was. What happened with Seo Jun wasn't weakness. It was family betrayal, which any of us could face. But look at how he handled it. He survived. He protected his child. And he's here, barely healed, demanding your respect because he's earned it. I stand with him." One by one, the other men nodded. The oldest among them finally spoke. "Your father would be proud. You have our loyalty. And your woman has our protection." Relief flooded through Nia, though she tried not to show it. Quan Min squeezed her hand, a private gesture of gratitude and love. After the meeting, in the car ride home, Nia finally spoke. "Wife, too soon." He didn't look sorry. "We've known each other less than 6 months. We've been apart for 2 of those weeks. You've been shot twice. And in all that time, in all that chaos, you're the only certainty I have. So, yes, wife, when you're ready, I'm not rushing you, but I need you to know my intentions are serious." Nia didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This complicated, dangerous, beautiful man wanted to marry her, wanted to build a forever with her. "Your world is insane. Completely. Still in." She leaned over and kissed him. "Completely." That night, after they'd checked on a sleeping Yoon, after they'd changed into comfortable clothes, Quan Min pulled Nia close in bed. His injuries were healing well enough for gentle intimacy, and they made love slowly, carefully, with a tenderness that spoke of commitment and future promises. "I love you," he whispered against her skin. "I love you so much it scares me sometimes. I love you too, even when you're infuriating. Especially when I'm infuriating." He smiled against her shoulder. "You make me want to be better. Not just for Yoon, but for you. For us. You're already better than you think you are." But the peace was short-lived. 2 days later, word came that Seo Jun had been spotted in Los Angeles. He was apparently trying to build his own operation, using his family name and spreading lies about Quan Min to gain support. "I have to deal with this," Quan Min said, his face hard. "If I let him operate unchecked, he'll always be a threat." "What does dealing with it mean?" Nia asked, though she was afraid she knew. "It means I'm flying to Los Angeles tomorrow. It means there will be a confrontation. And it means this ends, one way or another." "Let me come with you." "Absolutely not. It's too dangerous." "You just told your entire organization I'm your partner. That means I stand beside you, even in the dangerous parts, especially in the dangerous parts." They argued about it for hours, but finally, Quan Min agreed, on the condition that Nia stayed back during the actual confrontation. Yoon would stay with Mr. Park's wife, who Nia had met and trusted. Los Angeles was sunny and beautiful, a stark contrast to the darkness of their mission. They stayed in a luxury hotel, and despite the circumstances, Nia found herself enjoying the glimpses of normal couple life. Room service breakfast, walking along the beach, pretending for moments that they were just two people in love on vacation. But reality came crashing back when Quan Min's contacts located Seo Jun. He was staying in a warehouse in a rough part of the city, surrounded by men he'd recruited. The confrontation was set for sunset. "Stay in the car," Quan Min ordered as they drove to the location. "No matter what you hear, no matter what happens, you stay in this car. Promise me." "I promise." He kissed her hard, desperately. "If something goes wrong, if I don't come back, there's information in the hotel safe. Bank accounts, legal documents, everything you and you need. Mr. Park will help you. Don't talk like that." "I have to. Just in case." His thumb traced her lips. "You changed my life, Nia. Made me remember what it feels like to be human. To love. Whatever happens, remember that." Then he was gone, walking into that warehouse with 4 of his most trusted men. Nia sat in the car, her heart pounding so hard she felt sick. Minutes passed like hours. Then she heard shouting, gunshots. Her whole body tensed, wanting to run to him, but she'd promised. More gunshots. Then silence. Horrible, endless silence. The warehouse doors burst open. Quan Min emerged, limping but alive, supporting a bleeding man. Behind them, his men dragged out others, including Seo Jun. His brother was alive but clearly defeated, hands bound, face bloodied. Quan Min approached the car, and Nia threw open the door, running to him. He caught her with his free arm, holding her close while still supporting his injured companion. "It's over," he said into her hair. "It's finally over." Seo Jun was handed over to people Quan Min trusted, people who would make sure he never threatened them again. Nia didn't ask details. Some things she was better off not knowing. On the flight home, Quan Min held her hand, staring out the window. "I'm tired," he finally said. "Tired of the violence, tired of always looking over my shoulder, tired of risking everything I love for power that feels more and more empty. So what do you want to do? Build something better, transform the organization into something legitimate. It'll take time, years probably, but I want to do it. For Yoon, for us, for the family we're going to build. Naya rested her head on his shoulder. Then that's what we'll do. Together. When they got home, Yoon was so excited to see them that she cried happy tears. Naya held that baby girl close, breathing in her sweet smell, and knew she'd made the right choice. This was her family now. Complicated, dangerous, beautiful, and completely hers. 3 days after returning from Los Angeles, Nia woke to find Quan Min already gone from their bed. She found him in his office, papers spread across the desk, looking exhausted. "Did you sleep at all?" she asked, setting down coffee for both of them. "Couldn't. Too much to figure out." He rubbed his face. "Dismantling an organization and rebuilding it legally is more complicated than I thought. You don't have to do it overnight. I do, though. Every day I wait is another day someone could use the old ways against us. Against Yoon." He looked up at her. "I want to be someone she's proud of, not afraid of." Naya's heart melted. This powerful, dangerous man was terrified of disappointing his daughter. "She already loves you, and she'll understand when she's older that you were doing your best. Will she understand that her father ran illegal operations, that people got hurt because of decisions I made? She'll understand that her father changed, that he chose family over everything else." Naya moved behind him, wrapping her arms around his shoulders. "And she'll understand that he loves her enough to build a better world for her." Quan Min pulled her into his lap, burying his face in her neck. "What did I do to deserve you? Got shot in front of me. Very romantic." He laughed despite everything, and that sound made the morning feel lighter. They sat there together, watching the sun rise over Detroit, planning their future. But the past wasn't done with them yet. That afternoon, while Naya was giving Yoon a bath, the doorbell rang. Security checked the cameras before allowing the visitor in. Nia's heart stopped when she saw who it was. Rachel. She looked different from the polished woman in the photo Nia had received weeks ago. Now she seemed tired, defeated, dressed simply without the glamour Nia had envied. But she was still beautiful, and seeing her standing in the mansion where she'd once lived made Naya's stomach twist. "What are you doing here?" Quan Min's voice was ice cold as he appeared in the hallway. "You're not welcome." "I know, but I needed to come. To explain." Rachel's eyes found Nia, filled with something that looked like guilt. "And to apologize. You have 30 seconds before I have you thrown out," Quan Min said. Rachel spoke quickly. "Seo Jun approached me 3 months ago, said you'd moved on with another woman, that you were planning to take full custody of Yoon legally. He convinced me that you were trying to erase me completely. I panicked. I made terrible choices. You staged photos to destroy my relationship," Naya said, surprised by how calm her voice sounded. "You helped him try to kill Quan Min. That's more than terrible choices." "I didn't know he would try to kill him. I swear, I thought we were just going to expose the relationship, make the organization doubt his judgment. When I heard about the shooting, I ran. I've been hiding ever since." Rachel's tears looked real. "I know I can't fix what I did, but I needed you both to know that I never wanted anyone to die. And I need you to know the full truth." "What truth?" Quan Min asked warily. "The drugging, the photo, it was all Seo Jun's plan. But there's more. He was working with some of your enemies, people who wanted to take over your territory. The plan was bigger than just making you look weak. They were going to kill you that night at the meeting. I overheard them planning it the day before. That's when I realized how far things had gone. I tried to warn you, but you'd already blocked my number." Quan Min and Nia exchanged looks. If this was true, the betrayal went deeper than they'd thought. "Why should we believe you now?" Naya asked. "Because I brought proof." Rachel pulled out her phone, showing text messages and recorded conversations. Evidence of the conspiracy, names of people involved, plans that had been made. Quan Min took the phone, scrolling through. His expression grew darker with each message. These men are still in my organization. They're planning another attempt. When? Naya asked, fear creeping up her spine. Soon. Maybe days. Rachel looked genuinely frightened now. That's why I came. Whatever you think of me, I don't want Yoon to lose her father. And I owe you both the truth after everything I've done. Quan Min made several calls, his voice sharp and commanding. Within an hour, trusted men were arriving at the mansion. An emergency meeting was called. Rachel's evidence was verified, and the conspiracy unraveled rapidly. It turned out 5 high-ranking members had been working against Quan Min, waiting for the right moment to strike. Seo Jun had been their puppet, but they'd been the real power behind the betrayal. The confrontation in Los Angeles had only dealt with one piece of the puzzle. We need to move on this now, Mr. Park said, before they realize we know. Agreed. Quan Min looked at Nia. Take Yoon and Rachel to the safe house. Don't come back until I call. I'm not leaving you to face this alone. Yes, you are. This is going to get ugly, and I need to know you and Yoon are protected. He cupped her face, his eyes intense. Please, Nia. Let me do this without worrying about you. She wanted to argue, but she saw the fear beneath his determination. He'd almost lost everything once. He couldn't handle the distraction of worrying about her safety while dealing with traitors in his organization. Okay, she finally agreed, but you better come back to me. We have a forever to build, remember? I remember. He kissed her deeply, not caring that a room full of men watched. I love you. Tell Yoon Daddy loves her. The safe house was a condo in a building owned by one of Quan Min's legitimate businesses. Top floor, heavy security, completely anonymous. Nia sat there with Yoon in her lap while Rachel paced nervously. I really am sorry, Rachel said quietly. For everything. You're good for him. Better than I ever was. Why did you leave Yoon? Nia had wondered this from the beginning. How could you abandon your baby? Rachel sat down, looking small and sad. I was 23 when I got pregnant. Dating a crime boss felt exciting until it became real. Until I realized my child would grow up in danger. I panicked, thought maybe if I left, it would force him to change his life. Instead, I just traumatized everyone. She looked at Yoon, who was playing with Nia's hair. She doesn't even remember me. She's only a year old. There's time if you want to be in her life properly. Do you mean that? Nia thought about it. Despite everything, Rachel had come back to warn them, had risked Seo Jun's anger and possibly her own safety to tell the truth. That had to count for something. I think Yoon deserves to know her mother, but it has to be real. No more running, no more schemes. I promise. I just want to be someone she can be proud of. Hours passed with no word. Nia tried not to panic, tried to focus on keeping Yoon entertained and calm, but her mind kept imagining terrible scenarios. What if the traitors had set a trap? What if Quan Min was hurt again? What if this time he didn't survive? Finally, at nearly midnight, her phone rang. Quan Min's voice, tired but alive, filled her ear. It's done. We got them all. No one's coming after us anymore. Nia started crying with relief. Are you hurt? Few bruises. Nothing serious. Come home, Nia. Bring our daughter home. When they arrived back at the mansion, Quan Min was waiting at the door. He looked exhausted, bruised, his knuckles bandaged, but he was alive. He was whole. Nia handed Yoon to Rachel and threw herself into his arms, holding him so tight she probably hurt his injuries, but she couldn't help it. I thought I lost you, she sobbed into his shirt. Never. I'll always come back to you. He pulled back enough to kiss her, deep and claiming. Always. Later that night, after Yoon was asleep and Rachel had been set up in a guest room with plans to discuss proper custody arrangements in the morning, Quan Min and Nia finally had privacy. They stood in their bathroom, Nia gently cleaning his cuts, while he watched her with soft eyes. "It's really over," he said. "The threats, the betrayals, all of it. We're safe now." "Are we, though? Is anyone ever really safe in your world?" "Maybe not completely, but safer than we've ever been." His hand settled on her hips. "I meant what I said about going legitimate. This was my wake-up call. I can't keep living like this. Can't keep risking everything. It'll take time. Years, probably. But I'm committed. For you. For Yoon. For the children we'll have together." Nia's hand stilled. "Children? Plural? You don't want more?" He looked uncertain suddenly, vulnerable in a way he rarely showed. "I do. Someday. When things are actually stable, and we're actually married like you announced to your whole organization without asking me first." Quan Min had the grace to look sheepish. That was perhaps premature. Perhaps, but she was smiling. "Ask me properly." "What now?" "Why not now? We're both alive. The bad guys are dealt with. Seems like decent timing." He stared at her for a long moment, then slowly got down on one knee in the bathroom, still shirtless, bruised, bandaged. It was the least romantic setting possible, and somehow the most perfect thing Nia had ever seen. "Nia, you've given me everything. Hope, love, a reason to be better. You've loved my daughter like she's yours. You've stood beside me through danger and doubt and every terrible thing my world has thrown at us. I can't promise our life will be easy, but I can promise I'll love you with everything I have, for as long as I live. Will you marry me?" "Yes." The word came out choked with tears. "Yes, of course, yes." He stood and kissed her, lifting her up, carrying her to their bed, despite her protests about his injuries. They made love that night with desperate intensity, celebrating being alive, being together, being in love despite everything that had tried to tear them apart. Afterward, lying tangled together, Quan Min traced circles on her bare shoulder. "I don't have a ring yet. We'll fix that tomorrow." "Don't care about a ring. I just care about you." "You're getting a ring anyway. Biggest diamond Detroit has ever seen." "That's excessive. You're marrying a crime boss who's trying to reform. Excessive is kind of our thing." He grinned, looking younger and happier than she'd ever seen him. "Get used to it, future Mrs. Quan Min." "That's not how names work. In my culture, you keep your name. In yours too, I think. So you'll be Nia, who's married to Quan Min. And I'll be Quan Min, who's lucky enough to have you." She kissed him again, pouring all her love into it. Tomorrow, they'd deal with Rachel and custody arrangements. Tomorrow, they'd start the long process of transforming his business into something legitimate. Tomorrow, they'd plan a wedding and a future. But tonight, they had this perfect, peaceful moment where nothing else mattered except them. Spring came to Detroit with unexpected warmth. 6 months had passed since that night when everything changed. 6 months of slowly, carefully rebuilding both life and business. Quan Min kept his word about going legitimate. He'd sold off the illegal operations to trusted people who ran them far from Detroit, taking himself completely out of that world. The money was reinvested into real estate, restaurants, import businesses. Legitimate ventures that made just as much profit with none of the danger. It wasn't easy. Some people left the organization, unable to accept the changes. Others stayed, grateful for the chance at a legal life. But slowly, steadily, Quan Min transformed what his father had built into something they could all be proud of. Nia had graduated from nursing school with honors. Quan Min beaming proudly in the audience with Yoon on his lap. She'd gotten a job at Children's Hospital, working 3 days a week so she could still spend time with Yoon. The balance felt right, fulfilling both parts of herself. And Rachel surprised everyone by actually showing up and being consistent. She visited every weekend, taking Yoon for supervised outings, slowly building a relationship with her daughter. It was awkward sometimes, navigating the dynamics, but Nia remembered her own mother's wisdom about children needing love from wherever it comes, and she made peace with sharing Yoon's heart. Now, standing in front of the mirror in an upscale bridal boutique, Nia couldn't quite believe this was her life. The wedding dress was simpler than the consultant had suggested, but perfect for her. Flowing white silk with delicate beading, elegant without being overdone. "You look beautiful," Grace said, wiping tears. She'd been Nia's rock through everything, and now she stood as maid of honor, watching her best friend prepare for marriage. "I look nervous. It's normal. You're making a huge commitment." "I'm not nervous about the commitment. I'm nervous about the ceremony, all those people watching." The wedding was smaller than Quan Min had originally wanted, but still a significant event. Important business associates, family friends, people from the organization's past and present. "They're there to celebrate you too. Just focus on him. Everything else will fade away." The wedding was held in a beautiful garden venue just outside Detroit. Cherry blossoms were in full bloom, creating a canopy of pink and white. As Nia walked down the aisle, she saw exactly what Grace had promised. Everyone else did fade away. All she saw was Quan Min, standing at the altar in a perfectly tailored tuxedo, looking at her like she was everything. Yoon was there too, adorable in a tiny flower girl dress, holding Mr. Park's hand. She waved enthusiastically when she saw Nia, making everyone laugh. Even Rachel was there, sitting quietly in the back, and when Nia caught her eye, the other woman smiled genuinely, nodding her blessing. The ceremony blended Korean and Rwandan traditions. They bowed to honor ancestors, drank from the same cup to symbolize unity, exchanged vows in both English and Korean. Nia's parents participated via video call from Rwanda, her mother crying happy tears, her father looking proud and protective, even through the screen. "I promise to love you through every storm," Quan Min said, his voice thick with emotion. "To protect you and our family with everything I have. To build a life worthy of your trust. You saved me in every way a person can be saved, and I'll spend every day showing you what that means." Nia's voice shook as she spoke her vows. "I promise to stand beside you, not behind or ahead, but beside. To be your partner in building something beautiful from something broken. To love your daughter as my own. To create a home where love is the foundation. You showed me that fear and love can coexist, that danger and safety can share the same space. And I choose it all, as long as I choose it with you." When the officiant declared them married, Quan Min kissed her with a passion that made people cheer and whistle. Nia laughed against his lips, happier than she'd ever imagined possible. The reception was a party that celebrated both cultures, Korean food and Rwandan dishes side by side. Traditional Korean drums, followed by Rwandan dancers. It was chaotic and beautiful and perfect. During their first dance, Quan Min held Nia close, whispering in her ear, "Can we leave early? It's our wedding. We have to stay. I want to start the honeymoon part, specifically the part where I get you alone and prove exactly how much I love you." Heat flooded through her. "Behave. We have guests." "I've been behaving for months, planning this wedding, being patient, playing the gentleman." His hand slid lower on her back. "Tonight I'm done being patient." They managed to stay through dinner and cake, through speeches and toasts. Mr. Park gave an emotional speech about watching Quan Min grow up, about being proud of the man he'd become. Grace's speech was funny and touching, embarrassing Naya with stories from their college days, but ending with sincere happiness for her best friend. Finally, after what felt like forever, they escaped to their honeymoon suite at an exclusive hotel in downtown Detroit. Tomorrow, they'd fly to South Korea for 2 weeks, visiting Quan Min's mother and showing Nia the country he'd come from. But tonight was just for them. The moment the door closed, Quan Min had Nia against it, kissing her desperately. "Mine," he growled. "My wife. Finally completely mine." "Yours," she agreed, already working on his tie, his buttons. "Always yours." They made love with an intensity born of 6 months of anticipation. Quan Min had insisted they wait until marriage, wanting their wedding night to be special. Now that patience paid off in desperate kisses and wandering hands and whispered promises. "I love you," he said over and over, like the words were sacred. "I love you so much." "Show me," Naya challenged, and he did, thoroughly and repeatedly, until she was boneless and satisfied and so full of love she thought she might burst. Later, wrapped in expensive sheets with Detroit's skyline glowing outside their window, they talked about their future. "I want to start trying for a baby soon," Quan Min said, his hand splayed across her stomach. "I want to see you pregnant with my child. Want to build the family we've both dreamed about." "Soon," Naya agreed. "Maybe after the honeymoon. Give us a few months to just be married first." "A few months I can handle." He kissed her shoulder. "Have I told you yet today that you're the best thing that ever happened to me?" "Only about 100 times, but I don't mind hearing it again." "You're the best thing that ever happened to me. You and Yoon. My 2 girls. My whole world. And you're mine. My complicated, reformed crime boss husband who gets emotional during Yoon's bedtime stories and cries at wedding vows." I wasn't crying. My eyes were just sweating. "Sure they were." She turned to face him, her hand cupping his jaw. "I love you, Quan Min. Thank you for not giving up on us, for fighting for this. Thank you for staying, for seeing who I could be instead of just who I was." He kissed her softly. "Now sleep. We have a honeymoon to start tomorrow, and I plan on keeping you very busy." Promises, promises. But he kept those promises. Their 2 weeks in South Korea were amazing. His mother welcomed Nia with open arms, clearly relieved that her son had found happiness. They visited his childhood home, explored Seoul, ate incredible food, and made love in beautiful hotels with views of mountains and cities. On their last night there, walking along the Han River under cherry blossoms, Quan Min stopped and pulled Nia close. "I need to tell you something. That sounds serious." "It is. Good serious, though." He took a breath. "I've been talking to my lawyers about officially adopting Yoon as ours together, making you her legal mother, not just her stepmother. Rachel has agreed. She thinks it's the right thing, giving Yoon the stability of 2 parents who are actually there every day." Tears spilled down Nia's cheeks. "Really? Really? Is that okay? I should have asked first." "It's more than okay. It's perfect." She kissed him, tasting her own tears. "I love her so much. She loves you too. Calls you Mama more than she calls me Dada now." He smiled. "You're already her mother in every way that matters. This just makes it official." They flew home to Detroit 2 days later, tanned and happy, and so in love it was almost disgusting, according to Grace. Yoon had stayed with Mr. Park and his wife during the honeymoon, and when they picked her up, she launched herself at Naya with a squeal of "Mama home!" Life settled into a beautiful rhythm. Work, family, friends, building their future one day at a time. Quan Min's businesses thrived. Nia excelled at the hospital, loving the work of caring for sick children. Yoon grew and learned and brought endless joy. 3 months after the wedding, Nia woke up feeling strange, nauseous but also oddly hungry. She stared at the calendar, counting days, realizing what this might mean. That evening, she took a pregnancy test, while Quan Min gave Yoon her bath. 2 pink lines appeared, clear and undeniable. She was pregnant. They were going to have a baby. Nia waited until after Yoon was asleep to tell him. They sat on their bed, the positive test between them, and Quan Min stared at it like it might disappear. "We're having a baby," he finally whispered. "We're having a baby." He pulled her into his arms, holding her so tight she could barely breathe. "I'm going to be a father again, a real father this time, from the beginning. You're already a real father. You know what I mean. Pregnancy, birth, all of it. With you, my wife, the love of my life." He pulled back, cupping her face. "I can't believe this is real. Can't believe I get to have all of this." They made love that night with reverent tenderness, Quan Min's hands gentle on her still flat stomach, whispering promises to their unborn child. The pregnancy progressed smoothly. Yoon was excited about becoming a big sister, though at 2 years old, she didn't quite understand what it meant. Rachel stepped up, helping with Yoon more so Nia could rest when needed. It was surreal sometimes, this blended family they'd created. But it worked. Quan Min was overprotective to the point of being ridiculous. He didn't want Nia working past her first trimester, insisted she rest constantly, brought home every pregnancy craving she mentioned. It was sweet and annoying in equal measure. "I'm pregnant, not dying," Nia said one evening when he tried to carry her upstairs. "You're carrying my child. That makes you precious cargo. You're impossible. You married me anyway." He grinned, that boyish smile that still made her heart flutter. Too late for returns. 7 months into the pregnancy, they moved to a new house in Columbus, Ohio. It was Quan Min's idea, wanting a fresh start away from Detroit's memories. The house was beautiful, with a huge backyard for the kids and enough space for their growing family. "New city, new chapter," he said as they stood in the empty living room on moving day. "Everything we've worked for, everything we've built, it all leads here." "To Ohio," Nia teased, "to home. Wherever we are together is home." Their son was born on a warm May evening. 7 pounds of perfect screaming baby boy. They named him James, after Nia's father. Quan Min cried when he held his son for the first time, and Nia fell in love with him all over again, watching him become a father. Yoon was skeptical of her new brother at first, but eventually warmed up, wanting to help with everything. Their family felt complete in a way Nia had never experienced before. One night, a few months after James was born, Nia found Quan Min in the nursery. He stood over the crib, watching their son sleep with an expression of wonder and terror. "What's wrong?" she whispered. "Nothing's wrong. Everything's perfect. That's what scares me." He looked at her, vulnerability written across his face. "I keep waiting for something to go wrong, for this happiness to be taken away. It won't be. We've fought too hard for this. We've earned our happy ending." "Have we, though? After everything I did, everyone I hurt in my old life, do I really deserve all this?" Nia took his hand. "Yes, because you changed. Because you chose love over power. Because you're a good father and a good husband, and you're building something beautiful for our family. The past is the past. This is our present. This is our future." He pulled her close, both of them watching their children sleep. Yoon in her big girl bed nearby, James in his crib, both peaceful and safe and loved. "I love you," Quan Min whispered, "more than I have words for." I love you too. Forever. And standing there in that nursery, in that life they'd built from danger and doubt and a random rainy night in Detroit, Naya knew she'd found exactly where she belonged. Not just in a place, but in this moment, with this man, with this family. Forever had finally begun. 2 years had passed since James was born, and life had settled into a rhythm that felt almost normal. Almost, because normal families didn't have ex-crime bosses as fathers or complicated custody arrangements with birth mothers who were slowly becoming friends. But it was their normal, and Naya had learned to embrace every beautiful, messy piece of it. Columbus had been good for them. The neighborhood was safe and friendly, full of families with young children. Yoon had just started preschool and loved it, coming home every day with stories and artwork that covered their refrigerator. James was 2 now, talking in full sentences and following his big sister everywhere she went. Quan Min's businesses were thriving. The restaurants he'd opened were popular, his real estate investments profitable. He'd completely left behind the dangerous world of his past, and with it, the constant worry that had once shadowed their lives. He coached Yoon's soccer team on weekends and attended every school event, just another dad in a sea of parents. But today was special. Today marked 3 years since that rainy night when Naya had picked up a bleeding stranger holding a baby. 3 years since her life had changed completely. "What are you thinking about?" Quan Min asked, coming up behind her at the kitchen window, his arms wrapped around her waist, chin resting on her shoulder as they watched the kids play in the backyard. "Just remembering. 3 years ago today, I almost didn't accept that ride request. I was tired, wanted to go home. But something made me say yes. Fate," he murmured against her ear. "The universe knew we needed each other." "You don't believe in fate. You believe in making your own destiny." "I believe in both now. I made choices that led me to that parking lot. You made choices that led you there too. But something bigger than both of us made sure we found each other." He turned her around to face him. "I got you something." "Quan Min, we agreed no expensive gifts." "It's not expensive." "Well, not that expensive, and it's important." He pulled a small box from his pocket, and Naya's heart jumped. "Before you panic, it's not another engagement ring. We're already married." She opened it to find a delicate necklace. 2 pendants hung from the chain, one with Yoon's birthstone, one with James's. Simple, but meaningful. "It's beautiful. Look at the back." She turned the pendants over. On Yoon's was engraved "Our Beginning," and on James's was "Our Always." Tears filled her eyes. "You're going to make me cry before we even leave for dinner." "Good tears, though, right?" "The best tears." She kissed him softly. "Help me put it on." His fingers were gentle as he clasped the necklace around her throat. Then he pulled her close, kissing the spot where the pendants rested. "You wear my heart every day anyway. Now you can wear theirs too." They'd planned a special dinner that evening, just the 2 of them. Mr. Park and his wife had offered to watch the kids, and Grace was coming over too, making it a whole party. The kids loved their extended family, and Naya loved having the support system they'd built. At the restaurant, an upscale place with the best Korean food in Columbus, they sat across from each other and just enjoyed being together. No kids needing attention, no work calls, just them. "I've been thinking," Quan Min said, reaching across the table for her hand, "about expanding our family again." "Again?" James just turned 2. "Can we breathe for a minute?" "Not another baby. Not yet anyway. Though I wouldn't be opposed." He grinned at her mock glare. "I'm talking about fostering. There are so many kids in the system who need temporary homes. We have space, resources, love to give. What do you think?" Naya sat back, surprised. "You want to foster children?" "I want to give kids a safe place, even if it's just temporary. Kids like I was once, scared and alone in a country that wasn't mine. Kids like you were, dreaming of opportunities that seemed impossible. His thumb traced circles on her palm. We can't save everyone, but we could save a few. Her heart swelled with love for this man. You never stop surprising me. Is that a yes? It's a let's talk about it more, research it, make sure we're ready. Yes. But I like the idea. I like it a lot. They spent the rest of dinner discussing possibilities, how many kids they could handle, what ages, how it would work with their jobs and their own children. It was exciting and terrifying, but that seemed to be the theme of their entire relationship. Can I tell you something? Naya said as they shared dessert. That first night, when I saw you bleeding and holding Yoon, I was so scared. But there was this tiny voice in my head saying, this matters. This person matters. I didn't understand it then, but I do now. That was the moment everything changed. For both of us. I'd stopped believing in goodness, in people doing things just because it's right. Then you showed up and proved me wrong. His eyes were intense in the candlelight. You saved my life that night, but you also saved my soul. Made me remember what it means to be human, to love, to hope for better. You did the same for me. I was just surviving before you. Working, studying, existing. But with you, with our family, I'm actually living. They held hands across the table, the weight of their history and their future in that simple connection. Other diners probably saw just another married couple on date night. They had no idea about the journey that had brought them here, the danger and doubt and desperate love that had forged this bond. When they got home, the house was quiet. Mr. Park and his wife had gotten the kids to bed, and Grace was watching television in the living room. "How was dinner?" Grace asked, smiling knowingly. "Perfect. Thank you for helping tonight." "Anytime. Those kids are angels. Well, mostly. James tried to convince me that bedtime wasn't real and that you'd said he could stay up all night." Quan Min laughed. "He's creative. Gets it from his mother." "Please, he gets his stubborn streak from you." Naya hugged Grace goodnight. "Drive safe." After everyone left, Quan Min pulled Nia toward their bedroom with clear intent. "The kids are asleep. The house is quiet. I have plans for you." "Oh, really? What kind of plans?" "The kind where I spend the next several hours reminding you exactly why you married me." He kept those promises thoroughly. Their lovemaking had evolved over the years, from desperate and urgent to deep and knowing. They'd learned each other's bodies completely, knew exactly how to give and receive pleasure. Tonight was slow and intense, reconnecting after the chaos of daily life with two young kids. Afterward, tangled in sheets with the moonlight streaming through their window, Quan Min traced the necklace he'd given her earlier. "I meant what I said about fostering, about giving more kids a chance at the kind of love we've built here. I know, and I love you for it. But we need to be realistic. Fostering is hard. Those kids come with trauma, with histories we can't fix overnight. We don't have to fix them. We just have to love them. Show them what a safe home looks like, even if it's temporary, even if we can't keep them all. We can give them something good to remember." Naya turned to face him fully. "You've really thought about this." "I've been thinking about it for months, ever since I saw this news story about kids aging out of foster care with nowhere to go. It broke my heart, made me realize how lucky I was, even with my difficult childhood. I had my father, had Mr. Park, had people who cared if I lived or died. Not every kid has that." "Okay," she said softly. "Okay? Okay, let's do it. Let's start the process. Get certified, prepare the kids, open our home and hearts to whoever needs us." His smile was brilliant and beautiful. He kissed her deeply, gratefully. "Have I mentioned lately that you're the best person I know?" "You might have mentioned it once or twice." They spent the next few months preparing, taking classes, getting certified, preparing Yoon and James for the idea that other kids might come stay with them sometimes. It was a lot of work, but it felt right. Their first foster child came in the spring, a 7-year-old boy named Marcus, who'd been removed from his home due to neglect. He was quiet and wary, watching everyone with suspicious eyes. But Yoon, now 5 and bold as anything, decided immediately that Marcus was her new best friend. "You can sit by me at dinner," she announced, "and I'll show you my toys. But you have to be gentle with James because he's little and doesn't know things yet." Marcus just nodded, overwhelmed. But over the next few weeks, he slowly opened up. Quan Min spent time teaching him soccer, discovering the boy had natural talent. Nia made his favorite foods and helped with homework. Yoon and James included him in everything, showing him what sibling love looked like. 3 months later, Marcus's aunt got approved for custody. He would leave them to go live with family, which was the goal. But saying goodbye was harder than Nia expected. "Will you forget about us?" Marcus asked the night before he left, his eyes wet with tears he was trying to hide. "Never," Quan Min said firmly. "You're part of our family now. That doesn't change just because you're living somewhere else. We'll visit. You can call anytime. And you'll always have a home here if you need one." "Really? Really? Family isn't just blood. It's love. And we love you, Marcus." The boy hugged him tight, then hugged Nia, then his siblings. When his aunt picked him up the next day, he left with a backpack full of clothes, toys, and a photo album Nia had made of his time with them. "That was harder than I expected," Nia admitted after he'd gone, watching Yoon cry in her room. "But worth it. We gave him something good. Something he'll carry with him." Quan Min held her close. "And we'll do it again. For the next kid who needs us. And the one after that." They did. Over the next year, 3 more kids came through their home. Some stayed weeks, some months. Some left for family reunification. One for adoption with relatives. Each goodbye hurt, but each placement also proved that what they were doing mattered. "You're making a difference," Grace said one afternoon, visiting while Nia prepared dinner with their current foster daughter helping. "These kids are lucky to have you." "We're lucky to have them. They teach us so much." Nia watched the little girl carefully measuring ingredients, her tongue poking out in concentration. About resilience, about hope, about love being bigger than biology. Rachel had become more involved too, surprisingly. She'd gotten her life together, had a steady job and apartment. She saw Yoon regularly now, their relationship healthy and consistent. And she'd started volunteering with the foster care system, using her own experiences with abandonment and recovery to mentor other mothers struggling with parenthood. "You inspired me," Rachel told Nia one day when dropping Yoon off. "Seeing how you love these kids, all of them, not just your own. It made me want to be better. Do better. You're doing great. Yoon loves you. She loves you more, and that's okay. That's how it should be. You're her mom in all the ways that matter. I'm just grateful I get to be part of her life at all." It was strange how life worked out sometimes. The woman Nia had once seen as a threat, as competition, had become a friend. Not a close friend, but someone she respected and appreciated. Someone who loved Yoon in her own imperfect way. That fall, Quan Min surprised Nia with a weekend getaway. They left the kids with his mother, who'd moved to America the previous year to be closer to her grandchildren and escape to a cabin in the mountains. "Just us," he said, as they settled onto the porch swing, wine glasses in hand, watching the sunset paint the sky orange and pink. No kids, no work, no responsibilities. Just you and me, remembering why we fell in love. I never forget why I fell in love with you. Tell me anyway. I like hearing it. Naya snuggled against his side. You're kind when you think no one's watching. You cry at children's movies. You wake up early with James when he has nightmares so I can sleep. You've built a life focused on giving rather than taking. You're everything I never knew I needed. Keep going. My ego can handle more. But his voice was thick with emotion. You're an amazing father, a generous husband, a good man who made bad choices and then made better ones. You're my favorite person. He set down his wine and pulled her into his lap, kissing her with the kind of passion that still made her dizzy after all these years. I love you so much it scares me sometimes. Like this much happiness can't possibly last. It can last. It will last. Because we fight for it every single day. She kissed him back, deep and claiming. Now show me why you brought me to a romantic cabin in the woods. He did, thoroughly and repeatedly over that weekend. They made love, talked for hours, slept late, and remembered what it was like to just be Nia and Quan Min before they were mom and dad. It recharged something essential between them. On the drive home, Quan Min reached for her hand. I want to adopt our next placement. If the situation's right, if we get a kid who needs permanent placement, I want to make them ours forever. Naya's breath caught. You're serious? Completely. We have so much love to give, and some kids never get to experience the kind of family we've built. If we can give that to even one more child, shouldn't we? Yes. Absolutely, yes. 2 months later, they got a call about siblings. A 4-year-old girl and a 6-year-old boy whose parents had died in a car accident. No other family could take both kids together, and the system was considering splitting them up. We'll take them both, Quan Min said immediately. They've lost enough. They don't need to lose each other too. Sophia and Miguel arrived scared and grieving, clutching each other's hands. Yoon and James tried to make them feel welcome, but the new kids barely spoke. They ate quietly, went to bed early, cried when they thought no one could hear. Give them time, Naya whispered to Quan Min after a particularly hard bedtime. They're processing trauma we can't imagine. I know, I just want to fix it, want to make them feel safe. You are, just by being patient, by letting them grieve, by showing them they don't have to perform happiness for us. Slowly, over weeks and months, Sophia and Miguel began to settle. Sophia started playing with Yoon's dolls. Miguel let Quan Min teach him soccer. Both kids began to smile more, laugh occasionally, join in family activities without prompting. 6 months into their placement, the social worker came for a review. We've been looking for permanent placement for them. There's a couple in another state interested in adopting both kids. Naya and Quan Min exchanged looks. They'd known this might happen. But the thought of Sophia and Miguel leaving felt wrong. These kids had become theirs in every way but legally. What if we wanted to adopt them? Quan Min asked. Would that be possible? The social worker's face lit up. Are you serious? That would be amazing. The kids are clearly bonded to you and your family. But adoption is permanent. You need to be absolutely sure. We're sure, Nia said, taking Quan Min's hand. These are our children. We want to make it official. The adoption process took another 6 months. Paperwork, home studies, court dates. But finally, on a beautiful spring day, they stood before a judge who declared Sophia and Miguel officially part of the family. Congratulations, the judge said warmly. You now have 4 children. May your home always be filled with love. That night, they celebrated with a huge family dinner. Mr. Park and his wife, Grace, Rachel, Quan Min's mother, and all 6 kids crowded around their dining table. It was loud and chaotic and absolutely perfect. Look at what we built, Quan Min whispered to Naya as they watched the kids play together after dinner. 4 children who looked nothing alike but loved each other completely. A family that defies every definition but works anyway. The best kind of family. The one you choose and fight for and build with intention. He kissed her temple. Thank you for saying yes that rainy night, for staying when it got hard, for building this impossible, beautiful life with me. Thank you for being worth staying for becoming the man I always knew you could be. As the evening wound down, and they tucked 4 tired children into beds, reading stories and kissing foreheads, Naya felt a contentment she'd never experienced before. This was what happiness looked like. Not perfect, not always easy, but real and earned and absolutely worth every struggle that had brought them here. Later, wrapped in Quan Min's arms in their own bed, listening to the quiet sounds of their sleeping house, Nia whispered into the darkness, I love our life. I love our life too. And I love you. Forever and always. Forever and always, she agreed. And in that moment, with her reformed crime boss husband holding her close and 4 beautiful children sleeping soundly down the hall, Naya knew she'd found exactly where she belonged. Not in a place, but in this life they'd built together, from blood and tears and desperate love. This was home. This was family. This was everything. 5 years later, the morning sun streamed through the kitchen windows of their Columbus home, catching dust motes in golden beams. Nia stood at the counter making pancakes, while chaos swirled around her in the best possible way. Yoon, now 10 years old and impossibly mature, was helping 7-year-old James set the table. Sophia, 9, was carefully drawing a picture for the refrigerator gallery. Miguel, 11, was reading at the breakfast bar, his nose buried in a book like always. And in a high chair, their youngest, 3-year-old Grace, named after Naya's best friend, was making a mess with her cereal and giggling about it. Mama, James is putting forks where spoons should go, Yoon reported, her tone exasperated but fond. I am not. You're just bossy. Am not. R2. Kids, Naya said mildly, not even looking up from the griddle. Use kind words, or use silence. Your choice. They grumbled but settled down, a testament to years of practiced parenting. Naya smiled to herself. This was her favorite part of the day, before everyone scattered to schools and work and activities. When they were all together, safe and loved and home. Quan Min appeared in the doorway, hair still wet from his shower, wearing casual clothes since he'd started working from home more. At 39, he was somehow more handsome than the bleeding man she'd picked up all those years ago. Faint scars marked his body, reminders of a dangerous past, but his eyes held only peace now. Good morning, my love, he said, kissing her cheek and stealing a piece of bacon. Good morning, Chaos Crew. A chorus of "Good morning, Daddy" filled the kitchen, even from Miguel, who'd started calling them Mom and Dad about a year after the adoption. That first time had made both Nia and Quan Min cry happy tears. Baby Grace reached for him, and he scooped her up, blowing raspberries on her neck until she squealed with laughter. Watching him with their children never got old. This man who'd once been feared, who'd commanded a criminal empire, was now the dad who did funny voices during story time and let the kids paint his nails and cried at every school performance. Meeting this afternoon, Quan Min reminded her as they settled around the table for breakfast. The new community center project. They want our input on the youth programs. I remember. Grace is watching the kids. Not her best friend Grace, who was now married and pregnant with her first child, but Mrs. Park, who insisted the kids call her Grace too, after Nia's friend. Over the years, Quan Min had poured his energy and resources into community development. The restaurants and real estate still made money, but his passion had shifted to creating opportunities for at-risk youth, mentorship programs, job training, safe spaces for kids who needed them. He'd turned his understanding of how young people ended up in dangerous situations into practical help, breaking cycles before they started. Naya had cut back to part-time nursing, working 2 days a week at the children's hospital. The rest of her time went to their family and to volunteer work with the foster care system. They'd fostered 8 more children over the years after adopting Sophia and Miguel. Some stayed briefly, some for months. All left their mark on the family in beautiful ways. "Can we tell them now?" Yoon asked suddenly, bouncing in her seat. Quan Min and Naya exchanged smiles. They'd been planning a surprise for weeks. "Tell us what?" Miguel asked, looking up from his book with interest. "We're taking a family trip this summer," Naya announced. 2 weeks in Rwanda and South Korea. We're going to visit both sides of your heritage." The table erupted in excited chaos. Questions flew about what they'd see, what they'd do. Could they bring friends? Would there be beaches? Would they see mountains? Naya and Quan Min let them be excited, answering questions and making plans. "I want to see where you grew up, Mama," Sophia said seriously, "and meet your family." "And I want to try all the Korean food," James added. "Not just the food Dad makes, everything." "We'll eat so much food your bellies will hurt," Quan Min promised. "And you'll meet your grandmother's friends, and we'll visit the places that made your mama and me who we are." After breakfast, the morning flurry of getting kids ready for school began. Backpacks found, shoes tied, homework checked. Naya braided Sophia's hair, while Quan Min helped Miguel with a last-minute science project correction. Yoon, ever the responsible one, made sure James had his lunchbox and that Grace had her favorite stuffed animal. "You've got this," Naya whispered to Yoon as they headed for the car. At 10, Yoon was already showing signs of the amazing woman she'd become. Smart, kind, a natural leader. "I'm so proud of you. Love you, Mama." Those words still made Nia's heart squeeze. She'd never carried Yoon in her body, never birthed her. But this child was hers in every way that mattered. All their children were, biology irrelevant compared to the daily choice to love and raise them. After school drop-off, Nia returned home to find Quan Min in his office, on a video call. She started to leave, but he waved her in, wrapping up the conversation. When he hung up, his expression was thoughtful. "That was the adoption agency," he said. "They have a situation. A newborn, born addicted. Mother can't care for her. They need an emergency placement and thought of us." Naya's heart clenched. They talked about being done with fostering, about focusing on the 5 kids they already had. But a newborn who needed them changed the equation. "What do you think?" she asked, sitting on the edge of his desk. "I think our house is already full. I think 5 kids is a lot. I think we're not young anymore, and babies are exhausting." He paused. "I also think we have room in our hearts and home for one more. If you do." We said we were done. We did. But since when do we do what makes sense? He pulled her into his lap. "Remember when I got shot and you were just my Uber driver but you stayed anyway? That didn't make sense. Remember when you moved into my mansion and became my daughter's nanny, even though you knew I was dangerous? That didn't make sense. Remember when we fell in love in the middle of chaos and danger and every reason to run? Nothing about us has ever made sense." "Exactly. So why start now?" His hand rested on her hip. "But it has to be both of us choosing this. I won't push." Naya thought about their life, full and busy and sometimes overwhelming. Thought about adding a newborn to the mix, the sleepless nights and constant needs. Thought about how their older kids would handle another sibling. Then she thought about a tiny baby, withdrawing from drugs she didn't choose, needing love and safety and someone to fight for her. "Let's meet her first," Naya said finally. "See if it feels right." They drove to the hospital that afternoon. The baby was so tiny, barely 6 pounds, her little body trembling slightly, as her system processed the substances she'd been born with. But when Naya held her, when those unfocused newborn eyes tried to find her face, something settled in her chest. "Hello, sweet girl," Naya whispered. "You've had a rough start, haven't you?" Quan Min stood beside her, his finger stroking the baby's cheek. "She looks like she's fighting. Just like her daddy taught her." Naya looked up at him. "What do you think?" "I think she's ours if we want her. I think our family just grew by one more." His eyes were wet. "I think we're crazy. But I think we're doing the right thing." They named her Hope, partly because that's what she represented, partly because it fit. Hope came home with them a week later, and their house descended into beautiful chaos. The older kids were fascinated by their tiny sister. Even James, who'd been the baby for so long, handled the transition with surprising maturity. "I'm a big brother now," he announced proudly to anyone who would listen. "I have to help." And he did. They all did. Yoon learned to make bottles. Sophia sang lullabies she remembered from before her adoption. Miguel read to Hope during her fussy evenings, his steady voice calming her. James carefully held her under supervision, his face serious with responsibility. "We're officially insane," Grace said, visiting one afternoon, and surveying the chaos with fond amusement. 6 kids. 6? That's almost a baseball team." "Almost," Naya agreed, somehow managing to hold Hope while helping James with homework. "But look at them, Grace. Look at how they love each other." And it was true. Their family was loud and messy and completely illogical. But it worked. Different races, different origins, different stories, all woven together by choice and love and daily commitment. The community center meeting that afternoon went well. Quan Min presented their ideas for expanded youth programs, and the board loved them. As they left, walking to their car hand in hand, Naya felt overwhelming gratitude for this life they'd built. "Remember when you thought you didn't deserve happiness?" she asked. Vividly. "You were wrong. You deserve all of this. The kids, the peace, the second chance. You've earned it by becoming someone who builds instead of destroys." He stopped walking, pulling her close right there in the parking lot. "I couldn't have done any of it without you. You're the reason I changed, the reason I wanted to be better. No, you're the reason you changed. I just believed you could." She kissed him softly. "But I'm glad I got to be part of your journey." That evening, after dinner and baths and bedtime stories for 6 children, Nia and Quan Min finally collapsed onto their couch. Hope was asleep in the bassinet beside them, her breathing steady and strong. The baby tremors had decreased significantly over the past weeks. She was healing, thriving, becoming the fighter they'd always known she was. "I'm exhausted," Nia admitted, her head on Quan Min's shoulder. "Me too. Best kind of exhausted, though." "Is there a good kind?" "The kind that comes from a full life, a purposeful life." His arm tightened around her. "The kind that means you're living instead of just existing." They sat in comfortable silence, listening to the quiet house. Somewhere upstairs, one of the kids was probably still awake, reading under covers with a flashlight. That was okay. They'd learned to pick their battles. "Do you ever think about that night?" Naya asked. "The one that started everything?" "All the time. I think about how easily it could have gone differently, if you'd driven away, if I'd died before you got there, if you'd called the police like you should have." He turned to look at her. "I think about how one random choice, one moment of compassion, changed both our lives completely. I think about it too, about the fear and the blood and your eyes when you looked at me, how you were more worried about Yoon than yourself. That's when I knew you were worth saving. And now? Now I know you were worth everything. Every doubt, every challenge, every complicated moment. All of it led here, to this life, to this family. I wouldn't change a single thing. Quan Min kissed her, slow and deep, a kiss that spoke of history and future, of passion that hadn't dimmed despite years and children and normal life. I love you, Nia, more than I did yesterday, less than I will tomorrow. That's my line. I've been saying that to you for years. I know. I stole it because it's perfect. He grinned, that boyish smile that still made her stomach flutter. Sue me? Can't. You're my husband. Pretty sure there's a law against that. They laughed together, and hope stirred in her sleep, making small baby sounds before settling again. Their youngest child, probably their last, a perfect ending to the family they'd built. No regrets? Quan Min asked, a question he'd asked many times over the years. Always checking, always making sure she was happy with the choice she'd made. Not a single one. You? Only that I didn't find you sooner, that we didn't have more time together. His hand found hers, their fingers interlacing perfectly after years of practice. But we have now. We have our kids. We have every tomorrow. That's enough. That's everything. The next morning started like every other, chaos and laughter and breakfast around their crowded table. But as Nia watched her family, she saw it differently, saw all the impossible moments that had led here, saw the girl who'd come to America chasing dreams, saw the man who'd been lost in darkness until a random act of kindness showed him light, saw children who'd known loss and trauma but were learning what safety and love felt like, saw a family that shouldn't have worked, but did. That defied logic, but made perfect sense. That was built on a foundation of choosing each other every single day, no matter what. Mama, you're crying, Yoon said with concern. Happy tears, baby. Just happy tears. Grown-ups are weird, James announced, and everyone laughed. Yes, Nia thought. We are weird. We're complicated and messy and unconventional. We're former criminals and Uber drivers and foster kids and biological children all mixed together. We're proof that family isn't about blood or circumstances or making sense. We're proof that love is enough. That night, after another long day of living their beautiful, chaotic life, Nia stood in the nursery with hope in her arms. Quan Min came up behind her, wrapping them both in his embrace. Our last baby, he murmured. Probably. Maybe. We'll see. She smiled at his laugh. We're terrible at planning anyway. True. But we're excellent at loving, at building, at making impossible things work. Nia turned in his arms, careful not to disturb the sleeping baby between them. Thank you for getting shot and holding your baby in a dark parking lot. Thank you for not driving away, for staying, for choosing this crazy life with me. He kissed her forehead. For saving me in every way a person can be saved. We saved each other. We did. And we'll keep saving each other every day for the rest of our lives. As they stood there, the three of them lit by moonlight streaming through the nursery window, Nia knew this was the happily ever after she'd always dreamed of. Not perfect, not easy, but real and earned and absolutely worth every struggle. She'd picked up a bleeding stranger holding a baby on a rainy Detroit night, not knowing he was a crime boss, not knowing how completely he'd change her life. And that stranger had become her husband, her partner, the father of her children, the love of her life. They'd built something beautiful from something broken, created a family from fragments and choices and daily acts of love, transformed danger into safety, loneliness into belonging, despair into hope. This was their story. The Uber driver and the crime boss, the woman who stayed, and the man who changed. The impossible love that became the most natural thing in the world. This was their happily ever after. If you loved Naya and Quan Min's journey from that rainy night to their beautiful forever, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss our next emotional romance story. Drop a comment below telling us which part made you cry happy tears, and let us know what country you're watching from. We love hearing from you amazing people, and your support means the world to us.